Don't skip. The harsh but unavoidable truth is that the more you rely on other people to define your value, the less respect you will command. When you seek validation from others, what message are you really sending? You're giving the world the impression that you're not complete on your own, and here's the worst part. Women can tell when a man's confidence depends on their attention right away, but what if you reversed the script and began focusing inward instead of seeking approval from others? True respect comes from standing tall, knowing who you are, and not needing anyone else to feel complete. Today, we're going to explore why this mindset matters and how. Let's get started. The basis for true respect in life and in relationships is independence, not haughtiness or apathy. Top ladies feel confident, women feel confident. Being the loudest person in the room or making ostentatious motions aren't the key to innately confident behavior. Rather, it's about how you conduct yourself in private, how you face difficulties, and how you deal with uncertainty. As a man enters a room, he doesn't announce his presence or attempt to dominate the conversation. Instead, there is something calm and assured about him. He isn't there to prove himself because he doesn't need to. He is comfortable in his skin, and that quiet energy attracts people without effort. Women typically have an amazing ability to sense when a man feels secure in himself. They can distinguish between someone who seeks constant validation and someone who simply knows their worth. In a world that frequently feels chaotic, women notice this type of man not because he is shouting for attention, but rather because of his grounded nature. This type of confidence isn't about being arrogant or acting superior to others. Rather, it's about having a strong sense of who you are and not letting other people's opinions change it. Consider the Stoic philosophers who taught that true strength originates from within, not from seeking praise or worrying about rejection. They believed in the power of self-mastery and emotional resilience. This idea is magnetically embodied by a man who doesn't rely on anyone to validate his existence. When you approach partnerships with this perspective, the dynamic is entirely altered. Because it shows that the relationship is voluntary rather than dependent, women esteem guys who don't require them. Self-assurance isn't just attractive, it's inspiring. Consider this. Would you rather be the man who constantly seeks approval, or the one who quietly commands respect simply by being himself? It's not about detachment or acting indifferent. It's about knowing that you are whole as you are when you don't need someone else to complete you. The next time you're tempted to look for approval or prove yourself, take a step back and ask yourself what a truly confident man would do. He would focus on his values, his growth, and his purpose. He would realize that confidence isn't about making others see your worth. It's about knowing it yourself. Women will respect a man who forges his own path and can enjoy life. Whether or not someone is by his side doesn't mean you're cold or distant. Rather, it means your life is rich and full because you've built it that way, not because someone else filled in the gaps. Women respect and admire this type of person without you having to utter a thing. Triggers for independence. Triggers for independence. When you have your own life, ambitions, and hobbies, you deserve admiration. Consider this for a moment. A man who is genuinely interested in his own purpose and who wakes up every day motivated by something greater than himself naturally commands respect. It's not about playing games or being aloof. It's about genuinely appreciating your time and your journey. Men who don't hover or make themselves too available all the time are respected by women since it shows that your time is holy, rather than just valuable. When a man is selective with his time and respectfully but firmly sets boundaries, it sends a very different message. You're saying that my life has meaning and I'm committed to nurturing it. This isn't about being cold or detached. It's about cultivating self-respect. On the other hand, imagine a man who is always at someone else's back and calls off everything the moment he's asked. In essence, he's saying that what I had planned for myself doesn't matter as much as your immediate needs over time, and that kind of behavior loses its appeal. The Stoic philosopher Epicurus once said, "He who is not a slave to his desires is truly free." By prioritizing your goals and living with intention, you demonstrate to the world that you are not dependent on outside validation, and your confidence rooted in purpose becomes magnetic. Here's the thing. Respect frequently comes from admiration, and admiration is sparked by someone's ability to hold their ground, to stand tall in their own independence. A man who stands alone is comfortable in his solitude and thrives without constantly seeking out external reassurance, is never at the mercy of others. The lesson is straightforward, yet impactful. This type of man isn't scared to put himself first, and by doing so, he wins the respect of everyone around him, not just women. Pursue goals rather than people. When you put yourself first and live with integrity, respect will come easily. Women don't simply desire a man, they appreciate a man who doesn't require them to define his value. Therefore, create a life that you're proud of, one that is guided by your own beliefs and passions. What do you think about the notion that independence and self-respect are the cornerstones of admiration? Do you think that living consciously and putting your purpose first can automatically win others' respect? We would be interested in hearing your viewpoint. If you agree with this message, please leave a comment below with your opinions. Pursue goals rather than people. The next important topic to discuss is emotional control. Emotional control is irresistible. Let's examine something that is frequently subtle but has a huge impact: how you manage your emotions. This one characteristic can significantly change how people view you, especially women. When we talk about emotional control, let's be clear that it doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or act as though they don't exist. That's not strength, it's avoidance, and eventually it will come back to haunt you. OT control isn't just a skill, it's a reflection of who you are and the respect you command, not just from others, but also from yourself. Women respect men who are composed because it signals strength, reliability, and inner peace. And let's face it, in a world where emotional outbursts are all too common. Although you may not have control over every circumstance, you do have control over your reactions, and that is where true power resides. Mastery is about being aware of your feelings, sitting with them, and choosing carefully how to react. Imagine a situation that we have all encountered at some point: a heated argument with your partner, where tension is rising, and she may even be saying things that irritate you. Your natural reaction is to react, and before you know it, you're raising your voice or saying something you'll later regret. Instead, think of an alternative. Taking a moment to pause, focusing on listening, and remaining composed. You don't deny how you're feeling, but you choose not to allow it to control you. Instead of adding fuel to the fire, you bring peace to the situation. That's simple. Maintaining your ground not only helps to dissipate the tension, but also distinguishes you. Because life is unpredictable and relationships are no exception, women notice that you're not easily shaken and value that kind of emotional stability. You will encounter arguments, setbacks, and frustrating moments, but you always have a choice. The next time you're in an emotionally charged situation, keep in mind that your ability to control your emotions is your superpower and what makes you unique. You can either be the man who reacts impulsively or the man who remains calm, evaluates the situation, and acts with purpose. The latter is not only admirable, but it's magnetic and attracts people, especially women, because it shows you're in control of yourself, regardless of what's going on around you. As the Stoics would say, he who controls his emotions controls the situation. So take a moment to think, halt, and respond intentionally. This is a life concept, not just a relationship idea. And by living by it, you will gain the respect of others and, more significantly, the respect of mystery keeps her intrigued. Number 4. When a man overshares his feelings too quickly or constantly tries to get attention, it can start to feel like desperation. And desperation, my friends, is not attractive. It's the opposite of what attracts people. Women are drawn to men who exude mystery and don't immediately reveal everything because it piques their curiosity and makes them want to lean in to learn more. Think about this situation. On a date, you choose to be present, listen more than you talk, and let the other person wonder about your life and past relationships rather than sharing every detail. Women notice when you're not trying too hard to impress them, and they respect a man who can sit comfortably in silence without needing to fill the air with words to feel validated. When you let your actions, purpose, passions, and self-discipline speak for you, you become someone worth respecting. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be." The Stoics believed in action over words, and that principle resonates deeply in relationships. It's not about playing games. It's about being authentic and grounded in your own value. Imagine this. A woman meets two men. Which man, do you think, piques her interest more? The second man isn't avoiding her, he's just not reliant on her for his happiness. During the first week, one of them overshares his emotions and texts her checks every hour. The other man is focused on his work, hobbies, and goals. He doesn't rush to seek her approval because he is already fulfilled within himself. When you adopt this mindset, you create a dynamic where respect flows naturally. Women respect men who don't need them because it shows strength of character. It's not that they don't want to be wanted, it's just that they admire someone who's whole on their own, and that's exciting. Silence is also a tool that's often overlooked. Sometimes the most profound things are said without words. When you don't rush to explain yourself or seek validation, you give people the space to form their own impressions. As the saying goes, silence often says more than words. Let that work for you. Be the man who is defined by his actions rather than his need for constant affirmation. When you hear women say, "I can't figure him out," it's exciting because it's not about being hard to get. Rather, it's about being genuinely hard to replace. Talk for yourself. You will get respect not only from women but also from yourself, and it is a form of power that no one can take away. How do you feel about this concept of mystery and calm confidence? Have you personally witnessed how remaining grounded and purposeful can change the dynamics of a relationship? Or do you believe it's a quality that's underappreciated in today's world of constant communication? If you're unsure what to say, feel free to share this brief line. My power lies in my peaceful assurance. When a man has the courage to say no or to leave when something doesn't fit with his values, it sends a strong message that says, I know who I am. I know what I stand for, and I won't compromise that to please someone else. This is not arrogance or pride. Rather, it's self-respect. And people in general are drawn to people who stand firm in their beliefs and are not easily swayed by external pressures. Number 5. Your insights could inspire others in the community. Consider it. What does it imply if you consistently prioritize the needs, desires, or acceptance of others over your own values? It implies that you place a higher value on their opinion of you than on yourself, which over time undermines both your confidence and their respect for you. Whether they realize it or not, respect boundaries. For example, you might say, I value myself enough to protect my time, energy, and peace of mind. Imagine being in a relationship with someone who starts to push boundaries. They may be dismissive of your time demands, expect you to change essential aspects of who you are to fit their ideal of what you should be. Or being a man who doesn't require approval from others will prevent him from falling into the trap of going out of his way to win their approval. Instead, he will calmly but firmly state, I respect you, but this isn't something I'm willing to compromise on. And the important thing is that he does it. The fact that Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoics who authored it, is based in who he is without anger, manipulation, or fear. Of the result is a strong thing that never ceases to astonish me. When you stop living for other people's approval and start appreciating your own, you'll find a sense of calm and strength that others will naturally respect. We love ourselves more than others, yet we care more about their opinions than our own. This type of energy is particularly appealing to women because it's uncommon. Being truly at peace with yourself and not requiring someone to fill a vacuum is more important than trying to be difficult to get. Let's use an example to make this concept more tangible. For example, if you've been dating someone and they start making expectations that don't feel right, they can try to shame you into doing things their way or expect you to cancel your plans at the last minute. A self-respecting man will set boundaries. He will say something like, I value my time and commitments and I need a partner who respects that. He won't be defensive or impolite. He will just be straightforward about what he needs. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, It demonstrates self-awareness and emotional maturity, which makes that type of clarity impressive. The right people will rise to meet you and the wrong ones will fall away. And that's okay because a man who values himself knows that he'll be fine either way. He knows that the right connection will never require him to compromise who he is. So keep in mind that this strength isn't about being cruel or heartless. Rather, it's about having the courage to walk away from what doesn't serve you and staying true to yourself. That kind of inner strength commands respect because it's rare and real, and when you carry yourself with that kind of confidence and peace, people can't help but notice that women respect men who don't need them, because it's a sign of true self-mastery. And that's something everyone admires. Number 6. She feels appreciated, but she feels valued, not smothered. Smothered women absolutely want to be loved, valued, and appreciated. That's true for anyone in a relationship. But there's a fine line between showing someone you care and leaning on them so heavily that it starts to feel suffocating. When you rely on someone else entirely for your happiness, it puts a weight on the relationship that's hard to carry. It sends the message that your emotional well-being depends on them, and over time that can start to feel overwhelming. Now think about what happens when you flip that dynamic. Imagine showing her through your actions, not just your words, that you're happy with who you are and that your life is fulfilling with or without her. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're not deeply in love. It means that you're grounded enough to know that your sense of self isn't tied to another person. That's powerful. Picture her thinking to herself, he respects my space, and that makes me value his attention even more. It's a dynamic that builds admiration and respect, because it shows that you're not chasing her approval or demanding constant validation. Instead, you're simply living your life with confidence and authenticity. She sees that, and it resonates with her. Why? Because we all respect people who are comfortable in their own skin. The Stoics believed in loving deeply, but they also understood the importance of not becoming attached in a way that leads to suffering. Epicus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "Don't attach yourself to anything that can be taken away." Now that doesn't mean you don't care, or that you don't give your all to the people you love. It means you approach love from a place of strength, not dependency. Think of it like this. When you water a plant, you don't flood it until the roots drown. Instead, you give it just enough, let it develop, and trust that it will blossom. Relationships are no different. You can give everything, but if the circumstances change, you're still entire within yourself. Women respect men who know how to give love and attention without overwatering, without needing to control or cling. When you live by this principle, not only do you gain her respect, but you also gain something far more important: peace within yourself. You're not constantly worried about where you stand or trying to prove your worth because you already know it. And when you embody that kind of confidence, it changes the way people see you. So the next time you're tempted to chase or hold on too tightly, pause and ask yourself, am I loving from a place of strength or from a place of fear? By choosing strength, you not only create a healthier, more balanced relationship, you become the kind of person she admires, respects, and is genuinely drawn to. That's the kind of love that lasts, built on mutual respect and freedom, not dependency. And isn't that what we're all looking for? If you've made it this far, it shows you're serious about building stronger, healthier relationships. And that's inspiring. Now, I'd love to hear your perspective. What resonated with you the most about this idea of loving from a place of strength rather than fear? Or if you're not sure what to say, just drop this in the comments. Strength over fear. Always, your thoughts matter and your voice adds value to this conversation. Let's keep the dialogue going. Number 7. Purpose command hands. Respect. Women are naturally drawn to men. Commands for purpose. When you have a mission, something greater than yourself that propels you every day, whether it's developing your career, learning a new skill, pursuing a passion, or even committing to personal growth, you send a clear signal that you're not just aimlessly living your life. You have direction, ambition, and focus, and that is incredibly appealing. Think about this example. 2 men are present. One's world revolves around a relationship, and their level of happiness all the time fluctuates depending on how much attention he receives from his partner. On the other hand, he is incredibly passionate about something important, whether it's starting a business, training for a marathon, or working on a creative project. While he certainly values company, his goal never changes whether he is dating or not. When a woman notices that he doesn't seem to care about her, she believes that he is pursuing something greater than herself. That makes a huge difference, and I want to be a part of it. The first man seems reliant, almost as though he is pleading for approval to be joyful. The second man invites someone to share his happiness and fulfillment because it's not about being aloof or inaccessible. Rather, it's about realizing your value and remaining dedicated to your own purpose. When a man is whole on his own, a woman doesn't feel the need to be his only source of happiness. She is free to be a partner rather than a crutch, and mutual respect allows the relationship to flourish. Women respect men like this because they see a partner who doesn't crumble under pressure or lose himself when difficulties arise. A man who doesn't need her to complete him isn't saying she's not important. Rather, he's demonstrating to her that he is already complete. Consider an entrepreneur or artist who is so engrossed in their work that time seems to stand still. They are driven, committed, and focused, and their enthusiasm is contagious. A woman who witnesses this kind of drive believes he is making a difference in the world and wants to be a part of it. She is drawn to him not because he needs her, but rather because she can see that he is leading a purposeful life. But here's the catch. This is about finding balance, not about disregarding or ignoring your relationship. When a man doesn't need her, it doesn't mean he doesn't value her. Rather, it means he values his time and purpose just as much. Respect is about striking a balance. Gains of calm under pressure. The takeaway is to live for something bigger than your immediate desires, because when you do, you naturally become the kind of man who commands respect, not through coercion or force, but through the quiet confidence of knowing who you are and where you're going, women. Trust is inevitable, because it demonstrates to her that your life isn't built on a shaky foundation of dependence, but on the solid ground of purpose and self-awareness. Ask yourself what your purpose is, what ignites the fire in your soul, and pursue it with all of your might. The rest will fall into place. 8. Respect men who don't need them, because those men are already strong and full of life purpose. Let me tell you, that's the kind of energy that's impossible to resist. Calm under pressure builds trust. Life is unpredictable, full of trials, storms, and curveballs that can easily knock anyone off balance. But if you picture yourself in the midst of that chaos, are you the type of man who allows the storm get the better of you? Describe him, or are you the one who weathers it with composure and clarity? A man who maintains his composure under pressure and doesn't allow outside events to dictate his inner peace isn't just respected, he is trusted. And trust is the basis of admiration. Women are particularly drawn to this kind of steadiness. She may not express it directly, but she thinks to herself that he is someone she can rely on, and that he isn't distracted by chaos. It's about being strong enough to control them. It's about showing that you won't give up no matter what life throws at you. Having this kind of inner strength makes you a stable person, a photo of someone she knows she can rely on when things get too tough. When a man loses his job, he goes into a deep state of despair and blames everyone and everything, the economy, his boss, his bad luck. But another man remains composed and resolute, accepts what has happened, weighs his options, and goes ahead right away. This second man exudes strength, demonstrating that no matter what happens, he has himself and, by extension, the ability to protect and provide for the people he cares about. Women notice that and believe this is someone. Women don't respect a man who clings to them out of loneliness or a need for approval. She doesn't want to be your emotional support system or the reason you feel whole. Instead, she admires your capacity to want her without needing her. And when you're whole on your own, you can love from a distance. I can trust someone who won't falter when things get tough. A location of plenty. Not lacking. Building this type of inner skill takes time and starts with little deliberate efforts. You're not seeking for her to fill a vacuum or heal your fears. Rather, your love becomes a choice rather than a necessity, and that's a rare and powerful thing. The next time you're feeling anxious or stressed, stop, Think about what you can control at that moment and then let the rest go. This exercise will help you cultivate the kind of composed resilience that not only helps you deal with life's obstacles, but also alters how other people see you. This is the essence of being a man who doesn't need anyone but chooses to share his life with someone because he wants to, and that difference is what creates true respect and connection. Women respect men who are unshaken, who don't crumble when life tests them, and who can hold their ground with grace. They respect men who understand that their peace, confidence, and happiness come from within, not from anyone else. The 9th. She believes that walking is strong. She views walking away as a sign of strength. Consider it. The ability to walk away from a toxic relationship or any situation that compromises your values demonstrates immense inner strength. It's not about realizing your worth and preserving your peace. How often do we hear stories of men going above and beyond to keep a relationship going when it's no longer healthy or fulfilling? A man who values his own peace of mind is naturally respected by women. When a man can look at a situation and assess its impact on his mental and emotional health and have the courage to say, "This isn't right for me," it sends a clear message that he is whole on his own, and that he will not settle for anything less than mutual respect and harmony. When you realize that you are in control of your reactions and decisions, you stop clinging to situations out of fear, and instead approach relationships from a place of strength, knowing that you don't need someone to complete you. You choose to share your life with them because they add value to it. This is about radiating confidence over the fleeting satisfaction of pleasing others. When a man clings out of desperation or fear of losing himself, it often has the opposite effect and creates a sense of imbalance. However, when you let go of the need to control the outcome and trust yourself enough to walk away when necessary, you embody freedom, and freedom is incredibly attractive. Imagine this. A woman tells herself, "He's not afraid to lose me," which makes me want him even more because she sees that he's grounded, independent, and secure in who he is. Letting go of a toxic situation is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it is an act of choosing to put your happiness above anything that takes away your energy or peace. When you carry yourself with this level of confidence, you gain the respect of everyone around you, not just women. Genuineness at all times. Being unashamedly yourself sends a strong statement to the world that you know who you are and don't need approval from others to feel whole. This type of confidence is captivating and uncommon. Authenticity always wins. How often do you see someone who is genuinely at ease with themselves, someone who lives in accordance with their principles rather than trying to impress or win approval? Women notice this because it's refreshing in a world where people are constantly pressured to pretend to be someone they're not. Imagine a man who enters a room with a quiet confidence. He doesn't speak to get attention. Instead, he speaks because he likes himself. This energy is contagious. Women respect men like this because it demonstrates strength, not the loud, overwhelming kind, but the quiet, steady kind that comes from truly knowing who you are. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. It stands unmoved, and the raging of the sea falls still around it." When you embody this mindset, you're unaffected by other people's opinions, and you don't need a woman or anyone else to complete you because you're already whole. That doesn't imply that you don't enjoy or value connections. Rather, it indicates that you approach them with dignity rather than desperation. Imagine a man who is genuinely passionate about his work or hobbies. He could be an artist, an entrepreneur, or someone who simply enjoys traveling the world, and who isn't preoccupied with pursuing relationships or trying to win approval from others. When a woman meets him, she doesn't see someone who is desperate to prove himself. Rather, she sees someone who is already successful, and someone she wants to get to know better because his life is already so rich and fulfilling. Being alone and content is one of the most appealing traits you may possess. It allows you to appreciate your own company and not depend on others to fill a hole. Women value it because it demonstrates emotional maturity and independence and shows that you are with someone because you choose to be with them, rather than because you need them. Being sincere makes a tremendous difference in a world full of fakery. When you stop trying to be what other people want you to be and start being unapologetic about who you are, you make room for genuine connections, which is certainly one of the greatest acts of courage. People, especially women, are drawn to that type of energy by nature, so stop and consider if you are living for other people's approval or for your own truth. If you can embrace that truth and be true to yourself, you'll notice a change in how women view you as well as how the rest of the world respects you. It all begins with being authentic. Let's conclude by considering what we have learned today. Confidence is about recognizing your value and projecting a quiet strength. It has nothing to do with being ostentatious or looking for approval. Having a life full of purpose and passion that inherently commands respect and emotional control sets you apart in a world of spontaneous reactions, gaining you respect and appreciation while being real. Being independent does not imply being distant. Remember that respect begins within, and when you respect yourself, others will naturally